Yo, yo, yo! Welcome back to the MMA Short Show. As always, your boy, Steven Moustaris. And guys, I just real quick before I get into this, I really just want to take my time and appreciate everybody that views these comments, everything. I say it all the time. I'm a broken record. I promise you guys, I don't care about the views I get on these videos. I don't care about subscriptions. I don't care about likes. I don't care about any of that shit that these YouTubers try to do, Patreons, whatever. Fuck all that. I'm for real here just to talk about my favorite sport. And yeah, the one thing I actually do, really appreciate are comments. You know what I'm saying? I like when you guys give me your opinion because guess what? I'm just a guy out here that loves MMA, trying to connect with other people out there that truly love MMA as much as I do, if not more. So everybody out there that's been commenting, I appreciate you guys more than anything. But let me get into this. I finally give myself a little break from talking about the UFC. And I did a video a couple weeks ago talking about how I do believe the UFC's like lack of maybe pressure from other people. Maybe they're just getting too comfortable on top. It's really starting to give us a like kind of a little below mediocre, product. Like I really think some of these fight nights are super either lazy or just like I said, lack of pressure to make big cards. And I really think they're starting to open the door for, people like Ryzen, PFL, One Championship, Bellator, and it's cards like these. Bellator 297 this weekend, guys, absolutely stacked. Honestly, better than probably the last three cards that we've got from the UFC, straight up. And I mean, if you guys count Beneil Dariush versus, Charles Oliveira, that was a huge fight. Everybody wanted that. But for a massive card, like Bellator 297 is bringing it this weekend. And the first thing I want to talk about, is just the Vadim Nemkov versus Yoel Romero fight. And I think personally, this is a huge, huge opportunity for Vadim Nemkov to get his name out there and to kind of introduce himself to the world if he hasn't been introduced already. This kid's 30 years old, fucking out here. This dude's a freaking Energizer bunny out here with the pressure, dude. Doesn't get tired. The one thing I think he lacks a little bit is maybe he gets a little carried away with the striking sometimes. He keeps himself open, but when you got such a dominant ground game and such a dominant pressure game that he does. Like he hasn't even been tested really since, you know what I'm saying? Like I know he's lost a couple. He's got a loss to Yuri Prohashka in like 2015 or something crazy. Like honestly, before any of these guys got to the UFC or to Bellator, he had a loss. But this dude, and if you guys want to take that Corey Anderson, the first fight where it was a headbutt, I thought Corey Anderson was actually looking really good, but he comes out the next fight and they rematch or whatever, and he beats him in clear fashion. So, I am pretty excited for it. I think this is a huge opportunity for him. I feel like it's a little too late here for Yoel Romero. The dude's 46 years old still, which is absolutely mind-boggling. And if you guys keep up with Yoel as much as we all do, them guys from Cuba, those guys are really like 65, and they're saying they're 45. So who knows how old Yoel Romero actually is? But it's just a huge name to get Vadim Nemkov out there and to get him, get some love. But here's the cool thing, though. I do think that Yoel, as much as we all know that he's one of the greatest wrestlers that have ever touched MMA, like true wrestlers that have touched MMA, he's up there as maybe number one, number two, probably the most athletic, probably the best fundamentally wrestler out there. But with his MMA career, he doesn't really use it all like that. And I think we all have seen like he can explode, but he doesn't use it like he has. And there's guys like Jorge Masvidal have trained with him, all these people out there that, will come out and tell you, like, yeah, he just doesn't do it because he knows he'll get too tired. So he learned that he's got all this power, all this athleticism on the stand-up, like, on the feet. Like, why would he waste all his energy and gas himself out in the first round? So, it makes sense. But I do think his wrestling defense is going to be a huge factor here to keep Vadim Nemkov standing. But it's one of those fights I really think that Yoel, like we saw with Phil Davis, actually, this is like kind of his first fight in Bellator. He fights Phil Davis, which everybody knows Phil Davis, really good wrestler, not the greatest stand-up. You know what I'm saying? That's probably why he wasn't really that great in the UFC. He was good. Definitely probably got to like, I wouldn't put him top 5, but he was definitely in that top 10 range there for a little bit. And then he kind of just, got exposed because he doesn't have the stand-up, but comes over to Bellator, makes a big splash. And, Yoel was just their first fight. Yoel was so worried about those takedowns that he found himself getting hit left and right by Phil Davis. And Phil, as everybody knows, has never outstruck anybody. And for good old Yoel to go out there and get outstruck by Phil Davis and lose in a split decision and not necessarily the wrestling, that's what kind of scares me a little bit. I think he's going to be so worried about the pressure of Vadim Nemkov that I really think he's probably going to keep himself open, and I think he's going to get hit a lot more. But, I don't see Vadim coming out with trying to take Yoel down at all. I think that's the one thing that Yoel's got going for him this weekend. And we might see a shocking upset at 46 years old out of Yoel. He could knock him out, but I'm just telling you, if I'm being real with you guys, I don't know if you guys are bettors out there, but I'm putting money on Nemkov just the way he gets these guys tired, man. I think he'll be smart out there for the first couple rounds. I think he'll get Yoel tired, start to kind of push the pressure, and it might look a little closer than you guys think, but I think round 3, round 4, round 5, we are going to see Yoel get taken down, probably get dominated on the ground. I don't know if I'll see him get finished, but I do see him getting outworked, and we've seen Yoel get gassed just by standing there and striking all night. So I couldn't imagine how it would look if Vadim can, get his game plan going and taking him down and stuff. So, I am pretty excited for it, but I just think this is a huge opportunity for Vadim Nemkov to, get his name out there. And, this is a crazy world right now in Bellator. We got Vadim Nemkov and Johnny Eblen both 185 and 205 champions right now that could probably realistically give these guys some problems in the UFC. I'm not saying become champions, but I'm telling you, they're giving the top 10 some fits, if not, champions some fits, especially Johnny Eblen with Israel Adesanya and everything. If you get Izzy on the ground, it could be nice, but getting him on the ground is tough. So I don't think he'd beat Izzy, but I just think it could be a good fight. And the same with Vadim Nemkov. As struggling as the 205 division is in the UFC right now, I mean, he had a really good fight with Yuri Prochazka, and he's way more talented now. And I think he could have a really good fight with Jamal Hill. So, I'm looking forward to this fight. I think, like I'm saying, I think this is the introduction to the world. But this is a huge fight, though. If Nemkov goes out and loses to, good old Yoel, then it's going to go right back to, I told you guys, Bellator doesn't have the fighters. Bellator, they don't have the talent to stick with the UFC. So, as always, your boy, Steven Moustaris. Definitely keep your eyes out on this fight card this weekend. The Pitbull Ferrer, Sergio Pettis fight's fucking ridiculous. Got a little throwback to the UFC. We got Corey Anderson, Phil Davis fight. I think Seth Pelosi's fighting. I think we got Emmanuel Sanchez. We got some people on this fucking card that I'm excited for. So, it's always your boy, Steven Moustaris. Let's go, baby. Let's go.